Hello, welcome back. So the next thing we have to talk about are so-called namespaces. Essentially, this is a way of writing shorter versions of these URIs. You notice that there can be a lot of repetition. For example, for all the entities that are in DBpedia, they are always going to start with the same path on the beginning, http dbpedia.org/resource. And then what comes after is going to change. So one thing that's commonly done is to split these URIs into a prefix and a suffix. So in this example here, we have a prefix for DBpedia, and then we have a suffix, which is the entity in the graph that we want to look up. So we can shorten these by first defining a prefix. In this case, we call the prefix DBpedia, and we have sort of an abbreviation. DBpedia : stands for this whole thing that's written here. And now you can use this prefix to write a URI in this shorter form here. So when you write dbpedia.org, Leonardo da Vinci, then internally in the system, what will happen is that it will check, is this a defined prefix? Yes, the prefix is defined here. And then it will make a replacement from dbpedia : with the information in here. There is another technical detail that you have to be careful about, which is these angle brackets. In general, the rule of thumb is that when you have a full URI, like here, the full path, HTTP, and so on, then you have to put it into angle brackets to indicate that this is a node in the graph. And you only put these angle brackets for the full URIs. You don't put angle brackets around these prefix abbreviated URIs. There are a few special cases, but yeah, we'll come to them when you work with them in terms of programming. For now, the important thing to remember is whenever you have a full URI, don't forget the angle brackets around it. If you have a prefixed version, an abbreviated version, don't put angle brackets around it. So two obvious benefits are that when you work with a large data set full of URIs, with these knowledge graphs, then the data set is going to become a lot smaller because you don't have all of this repeated information in here. You just define this once, and then you're just using the prefix later on. Also for human consumption, whenever you have to look at them, it's easier to read. You don't have all of this noise around it with slash and colon and so on. It's a bit easier to see what's going on. By convention, whenever you work with knowledge graphs and knowledge bases, you use the same prefix for the same knowledge graph, for the same knowledge base. So for example, for DBpedia, everybody is going to use dbpedia : to indicate the prefix into the DBpedia knowledge graph. There's no technical reason for this. Yeah, you could call it DBP or DBP1 or whatever you want, but just by convention that it makes it easier to develop systems, to exchange data, to look at each other's vocabulary and other information. By convention, pretty much everyone uses the same prefixes. And there's even a lookup database for these prefixes online. You can go to prefix.cc, and then you can look at, you can search for information, for URLs, for topics, and then you will get commonly used prefixes. Another example that we're going to look at more in the next lecture, there's a prefix for a social network vocabulary that's called friend of a friend. So when you want to model people and how they are connected to each other, you're going to use this FOF, friend of a friend, description. And everybody is using the prefix FOF, which stands for the URI written here. Again, you could call it differently. You could say FF or FOF or whatever you want. But by convention, everybody is using the prefix FOF, which makes things a lot easier. So to show that you know how to work with these prefixes, another exercise on the worksheet. Actually, before we go to the prefix, first another exercise on encoding information in the graph. So the task here, we've done the information for Concordia, but now you have to look at Joe and Jane as well. So try to model this in a URI as explained here. And once you're done with this, try out rewriting the information that you have here using these two prefixes given there. So rewrite the triples that you created here and yeah, write it down by using a namespace abbreviation. And I'll see you again in the next lecture part. Good luck.